You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm a time traveller. Or I was. I'm stuck. In 1969.
We're stuck. All of space and time he promised me. Now I've got a job in a shop. I've got to support him.
Martha?
Sorry.
I've seen this bit before.
Quite possibly.
1969, that's where you're talking from.
Afraid so.
But you're replying to me. You can't know exactly what I'm going to say 40 years before I say it.
38?
I'm getting this down. I'm writing in your bits.
How? How is this possible? Tell me.
Not so fast.
People don't understand time. It's not what you think it is.
Then what is it?
Complicated.
Tell me.
Very complicated.
I'm clever and I'm listening, and don't patronise me because people have died and I'm not happy. Tell me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah, I've seen this bit before. You said that sentence got away from you.
It got away from me, yeah.
Next thing you're going to say is, well, I can hear you.
Well, I can hear you.
This isn't possible.
No, it's brilliant.
Well, not hear you exactly, but I know everything you're going to say.
Always gives me the shivers, that bit.
How can you know what I'm going to say?
Look to your left.
What does he mean by look to your left? I've written tons about that on the forums. I think it's a political statement.
He means you. What are you doing?
I'm writing in your bits. That way I've got a complete transcript of the whole conversation. Wait until this hits the net. This will explode the egg forums.
I've got a copy of the finished transcript. It's on my autocue.
How can you have a copy of the finished transcript? It's still being written.
I told you I'm a time traveller. I got it in the future.
Okay, let me get my head around this. You're reading aloud from a transcript of a conversation you're still having.
Wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey.
Actually, never mind that. You can do shorthand.
So?
What matters is we can communicate. We have got big problems now. They have taken the blue box, haven't they? The angels have the phone box.
The angels have the phone box. That's my favourite. I've got that on a t-shirt.
What do you mean, angels? You mean those statue things?
Creatures from another world.
But they're just statues.
Only when you see them.
What does that mean?
Lonely assassins, they used to be called. No one quite knows where they came from, but they're as old as the universe. Or very nearly. And they have survived this long because they have the most perfect defense system ever evolved. They are quantum locked. They don't exist when they're being observed. The moment they are seen by any other living creature, they freeze into rock. No choice, it's a fact of their biology. In the sight of any living thing, they literally turn to stone. And you can't kill a stone. Of course, a stone can't kill you either, but then you turn your head away. Then you blink. And oh yes, it can.
Don't take your eyes off that.
That's why they cover their eyes. They're not weeping. They can't risk looking at each other. Their greatest asset is their greatest curse. They can never be seen. Loneliest creatures in the universe. And I'm sorry. I am very, very sorry. It's up to you now.
What am I supposed to do?
The blue box, it's my time machine. There is a world of time energy in there. They could feast on forever, but the damage they could do could switch off the sun. You have got to send it back to me.
How? How?
And that's it, I'm afraid. There's no more from you on the transcript. That's the last I've got. I don't know what stopped you talking, but I can guess. They're coming. The angels are coming for you. But listen, your life could depend on this. Don't blink. Don't even blink. Blink and you're dead. They are fast, faster than you could believe. Don't turn your back. Don't look away, and don't blink. Good luck.
Oh, good evening and welcome to the Paranormal Pop Up Show. That might have given you a little hint as to what we might be discussing tonight. We are joined in the studio, or I am joined in the studio tonight, by Paul Rook. Say good evening, Paul.
Hello. Good evening, Paul.
Mark Manley.
Oh, Jazz, it's good evening there, Sarah.
And the lovely Andy Mercer, all the way from Glastonbury.
Hello, I'm out here in the West Country, nice and relaxed.
You're down in my neck of the woods, are you?
Yes. My sort of every 3 or 4 months trip down to Glastonbury buying 2.5 ton of books. I bring lots of books to sell and then sell them and buy lots of books to bring back so they get replaced.
I reckon I know why you're down in Glastonbury. It's not for the books, really. You're down in the town square there where everybody's smoking strange substances.
Oh, no. Very clean living myself. I don't drink, I don't smoke. No, it's just purely books. I sniff the books, and old books can actually have a strange effect on you.
I'm glad you said it was books. You're sniffing nothing
mould
else.
of growing old books, it can get stoned off.
This is very true. The old friars sometimes got poisoned from the mould that was on the books, didn't they?
Mm-hmm, yeah, especially ones by Arthur Conan Doyle.
Anyway, guys, we are talking all about time travel this evening and not strange substances that may or may not be consumed down in Glastonbury. So, we had a little clip from the Doctor Who. We love a bit of Doctor Who. Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Only a little bit.
Sorry?
I said you'll have to bear with me because my internet connection keeps petering out.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Paul, what did you say?
I said only a little bit.
Yeah, I loved that episode. It sends chills up my spine, the Stone Angels.
Yep.
Oh, I remember that. Yes, you couldn't turn your back on them.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it.
Andy, did you watch Doctor Who? Do you watch Doctor Who?
Intermittently, I have to say. Yes, I did see that one. I was mixed feelings about the whole reboot stuff, but yes, I have seen the one. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Cool. Well, when I went to the Isle of Wight in Blackgang, China, they actually have some Stone Angels now.
Oh,
I know. How freaky! You could turn around like this corner thing, and then they're there, and you're like, "Oh my god! Don't blink." I was actually doing this to the children. I freaked the kids right out. Oh, Richard Clements is in the chat room already. Okay, let's talk about time travel, moving swiftly on. Good evening to everybody.
I think we should travel back in time.
I think we should travel back in time.
Arthur Conan Doyle not writing Tarzan. We should stop him.
I think we should, because I think we should make somebody else write that. In fact,
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Yeah, do you think we should? Who wrote it, Andy?
Someone else.
Called Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Who, sorry?
Edgar Rice Burroughs.
I'll get him to do it. It's fine. I'll time travel back in the TARDIS later.
Will you do that later for us? Because
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've phoned it twice. I'm a master at it.
I dig it. Me completely fucking up last night. Thingy Bob broke up.
Caned, I think you'll fine.
Nobody likes smart ass.
I'm not. It's in the chat room. I'm not taking no responsibility. Anyway, there have been loads and loads of theories and stuff about time travel, isn't there? Over the time, we've seen Terminator. That was a time travel thing.
Yep, that was good. That was
the Philadelphia experiment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Andy, any offerings for TV or films that were to do with time travel?
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. Yes.
Yeah, major plot holes in that one.
Well,
there's plot holes in all ideas of time travel. It's not possible.
I think,
they proved that it's theoretically or mathematically possible because they've said mathematically possible, but the one that they might have managed to do was warp. Was it a couple of particles from one place to another? That was another thing they've done.
What is potentially possible is going forward in time. Backwards is not possible. There's no even the vaguest hints of possibility of going back. Because if you think about it, if you could travel back in time, we'd already know about it because people from the future would have come back.
Well, they may well have done, but they may well have done, Andy Mercer.
Well, I think it would be pretty damn obvious if they had done. I don't think they'd be keeping it sneaky and hidey.
Well,
I don't know.
Been looking into this.
If someone has come back from the future, then they'd just be locked up, insane. To be fair.
However,
well, to be honest,
it depends have a lot turns up. A very large craft turns up and says, "I've come from the future." You can't lock that up. No.
Well, I'm going to throw this little one out to you, laddios. Rudolph Fentz. In mid-June 1950, a man named Rudolph Fentz was hit by a taxi and fatally killed in New York's Times Square. He was allegedly dressed in 1800s clothing and had in his pockets a copper token for a beer, a bill for the care of a horse and the washing of a carriage for $70, and a letter from 1876 and business cards. All items shown were no signs of ageing. An NYPD policeman, confused about the man's attire and belongings, delved back into history, only to find that a man of 29 had disappeared in 1876. Was this Rudolph Fentz? Who knows? I would just like to say, none of that was verified.
Exactly the verification is 0. Yes, Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer. He travels in time. More likely. Think about it. How does Father Christmas get all those presents to all those kids all on the same night? They must be time travelling.
He time travels.
Well, of course.
He's got to travel the speed of light because then it slows down time for us, doesn't it?
Well, that's it exactly. The faster you're going, the slower time will go.
Yeah. And that's what I was trying to tell Kerry earlier.
He was trying to tell me this earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we are. It's even fundamental physics that are laws at the moment we have that just operate. You can't break them because it's not a law. It's the way the universe works. The faster you go, the more energy you need. The closer you get to the speed of light, the more you're slowing down. So by the time you reach the speed of light, you're going 0 time. You're just not going anywhere.
Hence the Planet of the Apes.
Yes, you need more and more energy. Yeah. And you get to the point where you need all the energy in the universe to go that slightly bit faster to get past the speed of light. It's not going to happen.
Well, I ain't going to argue it. However, one of the very, very first references to time travel was H.G. Wells, who wrote in his book The Time Machine. And that was in 1895.
That was a good film as well.
Yeah, very good. The original, yeah. Not the horrible remake with what's his face from Neighbours. That was pretty grateful.
No, I can't even remember
the original.
Names.
That is one film I have seen.
The original film was the first film to win an Oscar for special effects.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I vaguely remember seeing a bit of that. I probably didn't watch it all, but I remember vaguely seeing a little bit of the original. But I definitely went to the cinema to see the second one.
Yeah, excellent.
Bad ex-boyfriend. That's all I can say. Bad choice in movies.
The scene where he was travelling forward in time and the way in which everything around was changing quite rapidly. That was the first Oscar for special effects ever awarded. So.
There you go. A little bit of trivia for you guys.
And you heard it here first.
You did. A little bit of trivia on a Saturday night for you.
Apart from the Oscar festival itself, you heard it first there. Anyway, I'll shut up now. You go, Karen.
Okay, so there are lots and lots of theories and stuff out there regarding time travel, as well as it being obviously very prevalent in TV and films. Now, okay, let's talk about let's go a little bit scientific on a Saturday night. Let's try and educate people occasionally. Understanding time. What is time? Okay, shall I tell you then?
Oh, you did say it was a quiz as well.
Oh, okay, sorry. Should have sent the questions out pre-show, clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Einstein. What do we know about Einstein?
He was German.
Okay. Andy? What do you know about Einstein?
You want to know about quite a bit, actually, yes.
See?
Did you see the series that was on recently, the 10-part, with Geoffrey Rush playing the older Einstein and an unknown actor playing the young Einstein? He was absolutely brilliant.
No,
yes.
Still doesn't answer the question of what he thought time was.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He theorised that time was more like a river.
Principle, the fact is, time. Okay, you asked me a question. I was going to answer it for you.
Oh, sorry. Carry on. Carry on. No, carry on.
Don't mind me. No, you carry on.
Okay,
right, hang on a minute. We'll set up the boxing ring in a minute.
I'll tell you what I found out, and then you can correct me, Andy. Yeah.
No, no comment.
Well, he theorised that time was more like a river which meandered around stars and galaxies, speeding up and slowing down as it passed around massive bodies. 1 second on Earth was not 1 second on Mars. And he finally concluded that the universe does not rotate, it expands, as in the Big Bang Theory, and hence Gödel, how do you say that word?
You were right the first time.
Gödel. Gödel's solution could be thrown out for physical reasons, because apparently if the Big Bang was rotating, then time travel would be possible throughout the universe. Allegedly. I didn't understand any of what I've just said, but, you know, it sounded good.
That makes sense.
No, absolutely right. Time's not linear, completely sort of uniform everywhere in the universe. The closer you are to massive objects affects time, and it slows down the larger objects. It's why if you get towards a black hole, which is actually a small object but very, very dense, it slows right down to the point of almost stopping. And time and space are the same thing. There's no division between the two. It's just the way we perceive it appears to be space and time, but space-time is the correct term. You can't separate the two. And yes, he certainly theorized quite accurately, obviously now, that the universe is expanding at a certain rate that's not uniform across the universe either. Again, depends on what you're close to, what you're further away from. The universe is a different age depending on which direction you're looking. So yes.
Do you get spaghettified when you go through a black hole?
All I heard was spaghettified hole. Drop out there for a second.
Do you get spaghettified when you get to a black hole because of the pressures?
Could you define what spaghettified actually means?
Stretched out and made thin. You mean?
I don't know.
I just think about being covered in my
It squeezes you into a little point, doesn't it?
Well, the thing is, of course, when you're there happening to you, you won't notice it because everything around you is being treated in exactly the same way. You don't change in relation to space around you. The whole space around you, including you, is transformed and shaped, reshaped and changed. So you wouldn't know.
It's all being sucked into the black hole. You got
effectively, it's like reality itself has been reshaped. So you'd be not aware of any change at all.
But going back to the whole explanation of the time, it takes 365 and a quarter days for the Earth to rotate around the sun, and that's our year. But the closer you go to the sun with the other planets, their rotation and their years are going to be shorter than ours. So again, as you go away from the sun, it obviously increases.
Yes.
Isn't there one planet that takes 12 of our days is one of their days?
Well, again, it is. It's the size and the rotation will affect that. The distance from the sun will make a difference. It's getting a little confusing because at one time, of course, Pluto was a planet. Now it's not a planet. Now they're saying that it's not a planet, but there might be another planet even further out. And that takes 10,000 years to get around the sun.
I actually see that the other day. It was on one of these Facebook things that come up. Someone was saying that there could possibly be another planet to our solar system, but going in the opposite direction to the rest of them. And it goes further out.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but there was certainly the program I saw did reference the idea that there may well be another planet-like object, which is more like sort of Saturn, Jupiter type, with massive gas giant with a small core, further out, much further out, but taking a similar orbit to the other planets. Whereas, of course, the big thing with Pluto, not only is it a frozen lump of ice with maybe a bit of rock inside, its orbit is completely different. So it's now been declassified as a I think it's called a subplanet or mini planet or something along those lines, but not seen as a full planet anymore. And there's another one further out. But yeah, again, your experience of time passage on the surface of those planets, which of course most you can't stand on because there isn't one, it's just gas giants, it would be different. Your experience of time would be different, and the bigger it is, the slower time's going to be going. But again, it wouldn't be that for you because you would not experiencing that change of time. It's only in relation to other places that you experience any difference in time travel. I mean, the first real experiment, I think it was in the 1960s that this was carried out with atomic clocks. One was in an aircraft and another was on the Earth, running synced with each other, completely synced to the second. And it flew for a number of hours and at higher levels of the atmosphere, as far out from the Earth as it could go. And then came back down again. They found the clock on the ground had gone faster, appeared to be going faster, or have progressed further forward than the one out.
With our time on the clock face sort of thing, don't every so often, I can't remember how many years, but don't they sort of skip it forward a second? Because didn't that happen in the last few years?
Yes, it is readjusted the same way we have the every 4 years that one extra day adjustment. They do have to slightly adjust. Obviously, it's not precise, not exact, and it is affected by its physical presence on the Earth. Yes.
Well,
there's no the core thing is there's no such thing as universal time. You will find, it depends what you're doing, where you're going, how fast you're going, and where you are, as to what your experience of time is going to be. But the old story, shoot you out in a space rocket and come back again. For you, it might have been a year journey, but on Earth, 10,000 years could have gone by.
And there's apes.
So for the sorry?
And there's apes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, apes running around everywhere with big guns. But so that for the experience of you returning to Earth as if you travelled forward in time, you haven't, of course. It's just you've been away from the Earth and come back again.
Yeah.
So it gives that impression of having travelled through time, but you haven't actually. Because this is one of the problems. We talk about time travel. It's very easy to be stuck with the same notion of, this is time. Concrete reality time is going by at a certain rate and it's uniform everywhere. Which, of course, is not. Yeah. So, I mean, even the difference between being at sea level and being on top of Everest, there's a very, very tiny difference in the rate of time going by. It's minuscule. You would never notice it in a million years. But, it's a term phrase, there is a difference.
To be honest, it's like that when you drink alcohol. So in that case, when you drink alcohol, time travel is possible because it takes a long time for those thoughts to actually beat your brain.
It's kind of where I'm feeling tonight. It's taking a little while for these concepts to sink into my brain. I'm sitting there going, duh. So apparently, because we're talking about time being adjusted by a second every now and then, aren't we? Richard informed me the other day that in 1751 we lost 11 days because they changed the Gregorian calendar.
They were right.
I didn't know that.
They were right because people actually thought that part of their life had been stolen from them. What the hell was that?
I think Mark is actually at work at the moment. He shouldn't really be here, but he's being naughty. No. And he has a rampant squirrel where he works that has broken a light shade, which is what you could hear earlier. It wasn't him eating his dinner. It was him trying to clear up the shards of this lampshade that this rampant squirrel had built.
Well, from somewhere, some bean seeds, and it's opened one of them, and it's quite happily munching on them.
I love that. It's quite happily munching away on
that. I've found where it's trying to pinch materials to make a mess. He's coming in and out of the roof. There's a hole there. So I've just moved everything back and out of the way, so I don't mind him being here. But I
think they might.
Yeah.
Maybe the squirrel's just looking for supplies.
He's bloody got some.
House. Yeah, exactly. He's come to the right place, isn't he? Really.
He's building a penthouse suite up in the loft.
Yeah.
We can't actually mention the company, obviously.
A major hardware store.
All I can say, it's a major hardware store. He's gone to the right place for quite a cosy little home.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Building a lift.
Oh my God. So guys, I'm going to throw in another little. You're going to love me for this one. Andy is going to kill me after the show, I'm sure. I'm going to talk about John Tito. Now, claiming to be from the year 2036, John Tito supposedly travelled back in time to 2000 and shared his time-travelling escapades on different online forums, answering many questions about time travel and why he had travelled back to the year 2000. He provided information and schematics about his time travel machine, which many people believe could actually create a time machine. However, he made many predictions that have yet to come true, and he slipped off the forums in 2001 and was never heard from. Well, he was never heard from again. Is he out there? Or has he returned to his own time?
Definitely out there. Not quite the way you mean.
See now,
Jean-Claude Van Damme arrested him.
See now, just because he's come back in time, he's altered his future. So therefore, if he's predicting things, we can now change that, so they wouldn't be happening.
My question then is, if he managed to tell people a lot about the schematics of the time travel and his time traveling machine, why haven't we built another one?
Because
the government have, and they handed the plans over to the aliens.
Yeah.
Oh, we got the aliens in there. Oh my God, Mark.
Yeah.
Sorry, aliens. There you go.
So, Andy, want to do a psychological profile in John Tito?
He's nuts. That's what it is.
The psychological opinion of the observation of the comments we already made, I would say he's nuts.
Okay, so this brings me to a question. No, this brings me to an actual question in regards to not so much time travel as in physically being able to do it, but can we mentally do it?
You've only got to read a book and do it.
Yeah. I suppose, yeah. I mean, you could mentally envisage, if you're reading a book about World War II, for example, it might be so graphic that puts that image into your mind. So in your mind, you can revert back to that time period.
Is that just imagination, though?
We were talking about this last night, if you remember, the Discworld books, how they're so... The way they're portrayed, it's so vivid, you can put yourself in there. So it's kind of sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not. It's imagination.
Yeah, but who's to say your imagination isn't reaching out into the ethos?
See, I was thinking about this because in regards to, like when you sit in a room and then you sort of like, oh, God, there was experiments done by the CIA and the FBI, remote viewing is what it was called.
That's right.
Yeah.
With Mars.
Stuff like that. So allegedly, people can do this. Can they do that in regards to time? Has that been looked at that I don't know about?
Well, it's been claimed by many people, but how the hell do you prove it? I mean, if you look back in time, we know what happened in the past. And if you don't know what happened in the past to looking at, you can't verify because there's no evidence of what it was. And if it's him looking into the future, well, I don't know if anybody who's made an accurate future prediction of exactly describing a particular situation that then has come true. You get vagaries and sort of possibilities, but nothing as as precise as that. And of course, if anybody could really generally look into the future, they would have won the lottery by now. And nobody has by that method.
That's very true. Having said that, yeah, when you look at something like, take the Titanic, for example, there was a lot of it's called precognition, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mrs. Cake has precognition.
Who?
Mrs. Cake.
Oh, you're still talking about the Discworld books?
Yeah, well, she has precognition and has to turn it on and off again. Bit like you.
Oh, dear.
Throwing my pen down in disgust. I'm trying to keep this serious. So when you... Oh, I've lost my thread. So when we're looking at precog, mentally, are you not transdimensionally leaping into an event that may or may not have already happened? I don't know. I'm just throwing a theory out there.
Have you read the Martian ones?
Mark, get off the Discworld novels.
No, I'm not talking about those books, you daft bugger. I'm talking about the those readers who could see Mars and everything. I've actually got the CIA report of that, if you would like a copy.
No, I'm not that interested, to be fair. I'd much rather read.
Interesting reading.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's incredibly interesting. But Andy.
Yeah.
Precog, talk to me a little bit about it. Can we mentally do that? If we can link into an event in the future, like we saw examples with the Titanic, for example, is that not possible to?
Well,
I know it's hard to prove, but in the past.
Well, all we have is hearsay and unverified stories of potentially linking things that happened in a future point, like you said about the Titanic. But again, like I say, well, there's no concrete evidence of any of it. You know, if you can definitively say that X is going to happen, then okay, you know, what evidence do we have of anybody actually succeeding in doing that? Because the first thing people are going to think of is things like lottery numbers or wins of those nature. It's like successfully betting on something. And because we live in a very money-based world, but no one's done that. You know, someone come forward and said, actually, I got the lottery numbers from my psychic questing into the future. No one's ever said that. You know?
Darren Brown did.
When?
He did an experiment, didn't he? A mind thing experiment that he does. A mentalist, isn't it? They call themselves.
Yeah.
Where he predicted the lottery numbers. If you believe
And
what you see on TV.
And he'll tell you it's a trick. It's not real at all.
Well, no, but everybody was like mind blown by that because everybody that was taking part in that didn't know how he did that.
It's still a trick. I also know he does. That's the way he's bleeding successful and rich and famous.
Well,
and he pulls off some free amazing clever tricks.
See, now, for a second, just envisage that time travel does exist and someone can travel back through time. By doing that, he's sharing the information to try and convince people that time travel's real. By that, he's creating a different dimension because people are now going to be acting differently because of his claims. So he's created another dimension. So would he then be now time travelling or would he be dimension jumping?
Oh my God.
No, this is a different area. It is one alternative, which you can say to some degree quantum physics helps with it. The idea that we're living in a multiverse.
Yeah.
That there are alternate versions of reality running side by side, and that you can flip between them and flip back again. Again,
I've heard
no verifiable evidence that anyone's ever actually done that, but then would you know if you had? But they would still be running pretty much in parallel. There is the possibility that there might be parallels that are running slightly faster or slightly slower. And if they've been running slightly faster or slightly slower for millions of years, then they may well be far, far ahead or much further back in time. That's another possibility, which I'm taking on a very different road now, but is tied into the whole notion of perhaps that's where so-called UFOs are coming from. They're actually moving us through dimensions. Again, if that were the case, I don't quite know what physical machine would need to be constructed in order to achieve that.
So in the chat room, someone mentioned the Mandela effect, and this is where that theory was born and created for the multiverses.
It's not kind of just hearsay ideas of things people think they have seen. Most of them can be checked out, and the whole point is often proved to be actually incorrect. I mean, the one that came up a little while ago, I think we talked about it, Paul, was this whole thing from Moonraker, the Bond film, whether that girl was wearing braces on her teeth or not. And everyone seems to remember her wearing braces, but when you look at the actual footage, you can see it's just it's the lighting.
Yeah, there was loads of different ones.
We debunked it anyway. Listen to the show we did on it. No, listen to the show, David.
Yeah.
David is in the chat room. He's saying he doesn't believe it's 100% debunked. He needs to listen to the show, Paul, and I did on that a little while ago. Because we debunked it. We completely blew that one out of the water. So, sorry, David, that is a debunked situation.
But only in this dimension. It might still exist in other dimensions. We don't know, obviously.
So would then that multi-dimensional malarkey thingy that you're talking about explain things like the when the two ladies that were at the, you know what I'm talking about. I can't remember the name of the palace.
The malarkey thing.
The malarkey thing. There were two ladies. There were a really famous French palace that is called Versailles.
Oh,
Versailles.
Versailles.
Yes. Or is that something different again? Is that a time slip?
Well, this is another interesting question because we don't necessarily know what was actually happening. We might have very detailed description from them what they were seeing, but it doesn't mean to say they were seeing it. It could be something that's happening purely psychologically, but in the mind, they're kind of connecting with past memories of a place. But there's nothing changing in the immediate environment physically around them, but they're seeing it differently. So they've gone anywhere as such.
So this brings me right back to my point of, can we mind travel mentally?
Well, I don't know if you're necessarily travelling. As I say, it could be that the information is present. It's a little bit like, give me a minute, bear with this, pulling out a videotape that you recorded of, your 21st birthday party, for example, sticking it on the video player and watching the recording.
Oh, God, no one wants to see my 21st birthday party.
The recorder and TV and disc or videotape is your head interacting with the immediate environment around you. You haven't travelled in time to observe these things. You are observing things of the past, but because it's been recorded at the location, we're talking about things like the old stone tape type thing, but more based around the idea of EM field recorded activity. So that's, I think, is probably the best explanation I've come across and really like, basically, for what's happening there. Because doesn't mean to say you're travelling in time at all, but you are observing events of the past which you're seeing. I mean, I've had that person experience. I've observed places in the past. I've seen them quite clearly, but I know I'm seeing in my mind and not physically in front of me. The building's exactly the same as it was 5 minutes ago, but I'm seeing things occurring that happened verifiably sometime in the past, but I've not travelled in the past, and the past will not come into my time stream, if you like, or time zone. It is purely observing an event of the past. It is, for some reason, replaying itself before me.
So, I've had the opposite to that. Rather than the past, I've experienced seeing something that was going to happen 10, 15 minutes further down the line.
Okay.
Yeah. That was so freaky.
Well, something that I talked about, I can't remember to the pre-ignition show with, I think it was Kerry actually, but we talked about before that possibility that that even us now are not in a fixed moment, constantly in the exact same time as in the now time. That it could well be that you are, the immediate future, immediate past is also present with you in the moment. Yeah. And that you can potentially connect just very slightly forward or backward, because you're not totally fixed. Because, I mean, I guess that's what we started talking about, the idea that time itself is not completely, it's not tick-tock on the watch time. I mean, I don't tell me why we phrase drives me mad, but effectively it's not too far off. It's kind of what we're talking about here, that it is dependent on lots of different features, if you like, different things happening around you, or objects or effects around you. And I was just, because James mentioned it very briefly in the talky bit, the chat room, that there are
the talky bit.
You can tell you can tell it's a Saturday night, can't you guys? Because we're all going the thingamy-bob, the malarkey, the chat room thing.
Yeah, be a very thin, so it'll keep your voice down, it'll be too loud. But the simple fact is that we have more and more evidence to suggest that we do have very, very short, I mean very short precognition of about up to 7 seconds before being aware of a real-world event occurring in our immediate environment and us reacting to it. There's a possibility of up to 7 seconds before it's occurred, but we are talking only seconds, not hours or minutes or days. Just seconds.
See, I see a clip earlier on YouTube with Brian Cox, and he was explaining that the time moves in wave form. So could that precognition almost be like a tear of a mini wormhole, rather going around the wave with normal time? Could we just be seeing through it instead? as like a wormhole in space. I'm assuming everyone knows what.
No. Again, if you're simply standing as, or one of the fundamental things that's come out of modern physics is there is no such thing as the independent observer anymore. You're actually, if you're in an event, you're affecting the event. So if you're observing something, you're actually having an effect upon that because you're observing it. You change the state by being the observer of it. So, in terms of the wave movement of time, wave function of time, if you like, you are, by virtue of the fact you're observing it, you are actually affecting it. So it could well be that is part of what's happening, that you're causing an effect yourself.
The butterfly effect.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it is all anyway, so we get away from that, but it's certainly one of the strongest things that's come out of quantum physics is the fact that you are affecting. I mean, Einstein went back to this one, that you can't just observe anything. You are affecting it by observing it, and it does behave differently when you're not observing it. It goes back to what's called the slit experiment, the two-slit experiment, where it behaves differently whether you're observing or not. It's a big difference.
Makes sense.
May I just interject a second there?
No.
Shush.
Good.
I know, Kerry knows about this because I've said quite a few times, we talk about precog and things like that. Does that include dreams? Because I'll have what I would call lucid dreams, extremely vivid, real dreams, and then I'll completely forget them by the next day, and then it can be days, months. I've even had a couple that are about 8 years down the line, and I'll be in a situation, and all of a sudden it'll go, and I'm back in it, and it's there, and it's happened, I know, I don't do drugs.
Could that not be a false? Could that not be a false memory?
Well, that's basically what I was going to say. There's no way of knowing that accurately that you are actually remembering what you've experienced in your dream. Now, obviously, I've done a lot of research in dreams because of my professional work. First, lucid is where you're aware of yourself dreaming. It's a little different to what you're saying about vivid dreaming. But also, if you're not, you cannot remember your dreams exactly as they occur, because by nature of how the human mind works is you tend to organise things, you tend to structure them into some kind of order, some kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, chronology, effectively. And dreams, by their nature, they are not chronological. They tend to be all over the place. So things tend to change instantly in front of you in your dream, that you find you might be in an part of experience and then you're a different part of the same experience, but you're further back in it. When you really try and write down your dreams or dictate them to a dictaphone, if you like, when you first wake up, you will inevitably alter it because that's the way it works. I often ask clients about, therapists ask about their dreams because it does give an idea, guidance, if you like, to what's going on with the particular issues they're working with. But they often give you quite a coherent picture. And I say, well, hang on a minute, is that actually what you remember happening? Well, no, okay, you kind of jump from this bit. They've filled in the blanks, they've filled in detail because it's just the way we work, it's the way our minds tend to operate. So we never really remember them accurately.
The thing that gets me about it is everybody dreams, and you have loads and loads of dreams. I have lots of vivid dreams anyway because my mind's knackered. But it's just the odd one or two. I'll be in, like I even had one about having an argument with somebody, driving down the road on a specific road at a specific point in that road, and that was that was when I was living in Somerset. I had that dream, and the other week I was driving down the road. And it happened. That argument on that spot, and it was on a particular bend in the road. And you get the instant click and zoom, and your brain goes, "Do you remember this dream? This is what you were dreaming about."
Yeah. I mean, a version of the event, certainly. I actually remember years ago, I was reading a James Herbert novel. And I effectively dreamt the ending of it. And when I read it, it was the ending I dreamt. I mean, I could rationalise it and say, well, the story was going in that general direction anyway, so it kind of made sense that I would conclude X, Y, Z. But there were elements in my dream that, again, it was kind of hazy, but all over the place. But the way the dream ended was the way I thought the book would end, and it was the way the book ended. So it was like, well, I don't think I had precognition of the book I was reading or read the mind of James Herbert. Yeah. It was leading in that general direction, but I could certainly say it was pretty close. It's like, wow, that is what I don't know what happened at the end.
See, I don't remember my dreams.
Sorry, I'm going to throw this in here now, because going into the chat room, this has kicked off a lovely little discussion going off into the chat room. James Steele has said how fast our senses pass knowledge onto our brains. David Erickson says we can have a perception of things to come much further ahead than seconds. Kaz, so how do we explain people having a feeling of something or a sense of something hours, even weeks or months ahead of time? Does this then link into... Now I'm going to throw this one out to you guys. We're moving a little bit away from time travel. The collective unconscious.
Here we go. John about now.
Edgar Case.
No, the collective unconscious. Because, like, for example, your example with the book, how many people have read that book?
3.
Hundreds of thousands of people, yeah?
3.
3.
Yeah, 3. It's a good
Andy?
number, 3.
What's that? Sorry.
Could it be that the amount of people that have read the book that you were referring to has uploaded that into the collective unconscious, and that's what you linked into?
Nah.
Okay. How about then the events of 9/11? There was loads of precog about 9/11 before it happened, even though it was so shocking when it did happen. The people that maybe, possibly who were planning it, people were picking up on that. It's a theory. And a conspiracy theory at that, to punk. Sorry. Saturday night. Got to do it. That's a no then, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's lots of anecdotal after the event stories about 9/11 precognition, but there are very few. If you actually look at things that were recorded before, there's virtually nothing about it.
So most of the government knew it was going to happen anyway because they planned it.
Not necessarily. That's a conspiracy theory.
I believe it.
Nonsense.
We're not going to go into that. We're not going to go into the conspiracy of 9/11 tonight.
This shows about this channel.
We'll do that Monday.
Oh, well, David Erickson does say, I think there are a large amount of people who are collectively unconscious, but I'm not really into the theory about a collective unconscious.
Well, it's Saturday night.
David, can I stop? Can I interrupt a second?
Yes.
David, our friend. David Erickson, you're not talking about a theory with the collective unconscious. It is very much a fact. If you know anything about psychology, then do a bit of research, my friend. You'll find the collective unconscious is absolutely real. You'll get Jungian therapists who follow the work of Carl Jung will tell you, even Freudians will accept there is certainly something to it, because even towards the end of Freud's own life and work, he admitted there seems to be something to this collective unconscious notion. So it's not a theory any more than it's a theory about how, defibrillators can save someone from a heart attack. You're talking about that kind of level of, yes, it is real. So
anyway, let's get back to time travel. Let's have a little look at time travel. I'm going to throw another one out there to you guys. Another useless piece of information. Robert Victor Goddard. Well, so Robert Victor Goddard, an air marshal, claimed this happened to him. He was sent to inspect a disused airfield near Edinburgh in a little place called Drem that he found was in a decrepit state. However, later that day, he ran into a spot of air trouble when he was flying his biplane during heavy rain. He therefore chose to fly back through Drem to wait for the storm to pass. However, he soon left the tempestuous rain and entered sunlight. When he looked down, When he looked down, he noticed that the once decrepit field had been transformed and was now in use. Mechanics in blue overalls were walking around the airfield, and he spotted 4 yellow planes on the runway, which he failed to recognise despite his many years of aviation experience. I love these little ones that I'm finding.
Can I go?
You can do. Now, this actually reminded me. Now, we had a show on Thursday evening about the Bermuda Triangle and a lady called Carey Trentham, who had had an experience through the Bermuda Triangle while she was flying her plane. And situation changed. I know it's slightly different because of the area that she's in. But it was almost like the same sort of thing, but in a different way. Does that make sense?
It's the same but different.
Do you know what I mean, Andy?
Yeah.
Yeah? it happens an awful lot with people who are flying planes. It makes me not want to learn to fly, to be fair.
That's because they're so high.
Oh, God.
It's an interesting one. One of the things that in the introduction that Sue talked about for that particular show is that no insurance organisation or company recognised the possibility that the Bermuda Triangle has any effect on anything. Now, if you think about the way in which insurance companies work, they will find any excuse possible to add more premium and more cost and more money to them, to
Very
your policy.
Yeah.
So it almost surprises me that they don't actually include the Bermuda Triangle, because that's a perfect excuse to bump your fees up, because you're going to be flying over that area. You're going to fly. You're going to put your ship through that area. Oh no, that costs more. But they don't.
Wouldn't that not be classed as act of God?
Well, it's not. Whatever the reason is, they don't use it as a reason to increase your premiums if you're going over that area. And I think
don't give them ideas, Andy.
Well, I'm surprised.
So if your premium goes up because of the Bermuda Triangle, blame Andy. Andy said.
Andy said. But when we looked into it on the Friday night show, we did a show recently on the Bermuda Triangle, and the amount of traffic that goes through that area, there is no...
We debunked Triangle.
Statistically, there was no peak, as it were, in that area. In fact, it was actually quite low, considering the amount of traffic that goes through that particular area. So if you haven't heard those shows, guys, check them out. That's the Dark Mirror show on the Bermuda Triangle, and Thursday night's KTPF Reload show on Kerry Trentham, because that was fascinating. So
Isn't there supposed to be a smaller triangle somewhere? Isn't it called the Devil's Triangle?
Yeah, but you're talking about my ex again, aren't you? Leave it out, Paul.
No, not her.
It's also the Rock Triangle, but that's another place.
Yeah, I'd say it's sort of almost opposite to where the Bermuda Triangle is.
Well, there's one supposed to be in Wales, I think it is.
Okay.
What?
Supposedly, a particular part of South Wales.
The Colombian Triangle and the landing strip.
There's the Cheese Triangle.
Oh, God, then you need to see a doctor.
What are you guys? You've got off on a tangent. Oh, my God. Oh, right, on that note, I'm going to bring a really, really bad one in for you guys to talk about. Okay. It's a photograph. I can't show the photograph. No, I'm not going to look at that one then. Well, no, I'm going to talk about this one. There's a really famous
Photoshopped photo. Yeah.
Photoshopped photograph of various stars that allegedly time travelled.
Yeah. Wasn't John one of them.
Nicolas Cage.
Well, I just thought I'd mention it, because I believe that.
Yeah.
It's no worse or no better than some of the stuff that's out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gary, have you drinking again tonight?
No. This one, Andrew Carson hit the headlines back in March 2003 as he made a stock investment of $800, only to make, get this guys, $350 million in just dollars, in just 2 weeks. Many people believed he was receiving insider information, and he was charged for the crime. However, he claimed he was a time traveller from the year, I love this, 2256, and after skipping bail, he vanished. I love this. He vanished without a trace, never to be seen again. I know, you just want to go do after things like this, don't you? I love things like this. These make me laugh so much. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah.
No, don't believe that one.
No, don't believe that one.
I think I've upset David. I do apologise, David. He seems to have vanished.
Oh, no. Oh, well.
Quantum Leap. Yes, Quantum Leap was a very, very good programme until that last episode in Cafe. Yes.
Well, those few talk about the evil leap, when it was all about God was the one that was directing him round through time. I thought, no, that's getting really silly. So I stopped watching it.
Never saw it.
I preferred Sliders.
Sliders was good, yeah.
Yeah, Sliders was better. It was more to do with dimensions than...
Yeah, Sliders again. That Yeah, about the multi-dimensional idea, the multi-reality of living different realities. And I think they had a few that were falling back in time on that same notion of, time was going a slightly different speed, or for whatever reason. They were going ways only, but it could seem to be the future of the past as time was going at a different rate.
I preferred that one to Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap was good, though. Don't get me wrong, but yeah.
Quantum Leap was good.
It was
There's
really good.
a statement, I think, will time travel back and change. Where whilst you're time travelling back and changing a few other fault paths is the expression, I think. Full paths?
Well, so I take it you didn't like it then.
It was awful from what I remember.
No accounting for taste.
I'm sorry.
Young Scott Bakula.
This is why I don't watch much TV.
Oh, look, James Steele's talking about Stephen King. He should join us for Tuesday's show.
Yes, I was going to say, Tuesday's show is we're doing, oh goodness me, a Stephen King special. So join us for that one.
And we'll be talking about the new movie that I saw Friday.
So no spoilers for anybody.
To be fair, how can I spoil the film? I mean, the film came out in 1990 initially anyway, and if you haven't seen the film or read the book, you know what the story is about.
Are you on about It by any chance?
Yes, I am.
I did tag you in a clown picture on Facebook about that.
Yeah, I've seen the film. I went to see it last night, but I'll talk about that Tuesday. Okay, so everyone time travel to Tuesday after the show, obviously, and and listen in.
Well,
all about Stephen King.
This is true. Before we finish tonight, I want to bring one last silly little one in for you on a Saturday evening. Valerie Likyanova has been called a real-life Barbie. However, she insists that she is really an alien time traveller. Oh, yes. Come to Earth to save the world. This is the ironic part. She's come to save the world from superficiality.
Yeah. Does she doesn't eat or drink because she lives off the particles in the air.
No, the Ukrainian-born Lukyanova, who says her spiritual name is Amatiu, shot to internet fame in 2000. Thank you. In 2012 with her 20-minute video, Space Barbie, in which I just love her Space Barbie, and she expected to be taken seriously, in which she said she is here to help move us from the role of human consumer to the role of human demigod. Like? Yes, she looks like a Barbie doll.
Like a bloody Martian.
Likyanova says she started seeing spirits from other dimensions when she was 12 or 13. She wasn't quite sure about that. And developed the ability to travel outside of her body to other planets and universes. That, again, is...
She wasn't from Chernobyl, was she?
No, Ukraine. However, that is automatically, being as she said that she is an alien time traveller come to Earth. She's been here when she was 12 or 13. She started the ability to travel outside of her body. It's sort of like irony. And she communicates with these otherworldly beings, not verbally, of course not verbally, but in the language of light.
To be honest, she's not the only one that sort of claimed that sort of thing. I'm sure I've seen a video somewhere of it was supposed to be an alien interview.
Yes.
And this alien Grey claimed to be a human from hundreds and thousands of years down the line, and they've come back to stop Donald Trump. You know,
they didn't do a very good job, did they?
No, it was all to do with the atomic war and stuff that people have been banging on about World War III, and they're basically come back to try and stop that going on.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, so I mean, let's face it. I mean, Donald Trump's not helping the situation, or that other geezer in Korea, whatever it was.
No, this is true. The best part about this Space Barbie lady is her real goal. Bearing in mind, she wants to change humans from the role of human consumer to the role of human demigod. Her actual real goal is actually to become a pop star. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Yeah.
Maybe she did, and that was her song. She wrote it.
Maybe she time travelled back.
From the world of the Barbie dolls. Yeah.
What about an island in Mexico that's full of dolls' heads? Perhaps that's previous incarnations.
Could be.
The headed Barbies.
Anyway, my laddios, it is now 10 o'clock on a Saturday evening. I think it is time on the Barbie note to wrap the show up in just about 2 seconds, yeah?
Yeah, I'd say so.
What do we reckon?
Yeah.
Okay. Should we finish with what we started with, my beautiful men?
I think we should.
Okay, say good night then. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody, in the chat
Good
room,
night,
by
then.
the way. There's been some great people. There's been Lindsay, David, Kaz, Kyla, Richard, James, all sorts of people in the chat room tonight. Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday night. Do not forget, Sunday night, I have the Law Brothers live in the studio talking with me on my Spirit Dimension show. Monday, we have got a replay of some experiences that Jay and Teresa had whilst out investigating last weekend. On Tuesday, we're doing a Stephen King special. On Thursday, we're doing Penny Haunted Histories. Thursday night is the KTPF Reload show. And Friday is the Dark Mirror show talking about Arthur Conan Doyle. So please...
Aliens! And Tarzan, yeah.
Please join us. Oh my goodness me. Join us every single night of the week. We have shows going live at 9 p.m. We are also on YouTube. Go over, subscribe. So if you miss any of the shows, you can listen back to them there or on the Spreaker app that you can download to your phone, by the way. So if you miss it, you can carry us with you and listen on replay on your earphones. Oh, on that note, lads, say good night.
Good night.
Good night, lads.
I'm a time traveller. Or I was. I'm stuck. In 1969.
We're stuck. All of space and time he promised me. Now I've got a job in a shop. I've got to support him.
Martha?
Sorry.
I've seen this bit before.
Quite possibly.
1969, that's where you're talking from.
Afraid so.
But you're replying to me. You can't know exactly what I'm going to say 40 years before I say it.
38?
I'm getting this down. I'm writing in your bits.
How? How is this possible? Tell me.
Not so fast.
People don't understand time. It's not what you think it is.
Then what is it?
Complicated.
Tell me.
Very complicated.
I'm clever and I'm listening, and don't patronise me because people have died and I'm not happy. Tell me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah, I've seen this bit before. You said that sentence got away from you.
It got away from me, yeah.
Next thing you're going to say is, well, I can hear you.
Well, I can hear you.
This isn't possible.
No, it's brilliant.
Well, not hear you exactly, but I know everything you're going to say.
Always gives me the shivers, that bit.
How can you know what I'm going to say?
Look to your left.
What does he mean by look to your left? I've written tons about that on the forums. I think it's a political statement.
He means you. What are you doing?
I'm writing in your bits. That way, I've got a complete transcript of the whole conversation. Wait until this hits the net. This will explode the egg forums.
I've got a copy of the finished transcript. It's on my autocue.
How can you have a copy of the finished transcript? It's still being written.
I told you I'm a time traveller. I got it in the future.
Okay, let me get my head around this. You're reading aloud from a transcript of a conversation you're still having.
Wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey.
Actually, never mind that. You can do shorthand.
So?
What matters is we can communicate. We have got big problems now. They have taken the blue box, haven't they? The angels have the phone box.
The angels have the phone box. That's my favourite. I've got that on a t-shirt.
What do you mean, angels? You mean those statue things?
Creatures from another world.
But they're just statues.
Only when you see them.
What does that mean?
Lonely assassins, they used to be called. No one quite knows where they came from, but they're as old as the universe. Or very nearly. And they have survived this long because they have the most perfect defense system ever evolved. They are quantum locked. They don't exist when they're being observed. The moment they are seen by any other living creature, they freeze into rock. No choice, it's a fact of their biology. In the sight of any living thing, they literally turn to stone. And you can't kill a stone. Of course, a stone can't kill you either, but then you turn your head away. Then you blink. And Oh, yes, it can.
Don't take your eyes off that.
That's why they cover their eyes. They're not weeping. They can't risk looking at each other. Their greatest asset is their greatest curse. They can never be seen. Loneliest creatures in the universe. And I'm sorry. I am very, very sorry. It's up to you now.
What am I supposed to do?
The blue box, it's my time machine. There is a world of time energy in there. They could feast on forever, but the damage they could do could switch off the sun. You have got to send it back to me.
How? How?
And that's it, I'm afraid. There's no more from you on the transcript. That's the last I've got. I don't know what stopped you talking, but I can guess. They're coming. The angels are coming for you. But listen, your life could depend on this. Don't blink. Don't even blink. Blink and you're dead. They are fast, faster than you could believe. Don't turn your back. Don't look away, and don't blink. Good luck.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.